Erev Tov, Rabotai. Regarding wine, that a person is not allowed to drink wine that was made by goyim. This is the reason why we have to buy kosher wine, because the kosher wine is made by Jews. So what is the thing that makes it prohibited? That if it was made by the goyim, this wine, the problem is, when they put it into the big tub, to get the juice out of it, the grapes. In the old days, what they used to do is, they used to go with their feet, and they used to stomp on it, until the juice came out. Right? This was the good old days. That's how they did it, So the goy was doing this, with his feet, So that's why you can't drink this, because the goy is stomping on it. So what's the problem with that? The problem is, that once he agitates, moves around the juice, that's already called yain nesech. It's prohibited. Because we're concerned that maybe he had kavanah for avodah zarah, this guy, when he did this libation for avodah zarah. This is the reason why we don't drink goyish wine. So they say, by the way, the Chazal, the Kubalim talk about this, that the tumah that comes out of this, yain nesech, of the wine of the goyim, is a very strong tumah. So meaning what? That if a person drinks this, it's metameh his neshama a lot. It can bring him to do all kinds of sins. Very big bad influence comes from there. So this is the reason why we're very, very, very careful about this, not to use wine which is made by the goyim. So, interesting thing, by the way, nowadays, technology, is going forward, advancing, right? So the truth is, nowadays, in most places, in many places where they make wine, the wine vats, the wineries, nobody touches the grapes. Nobody squeezes it out. It's done by machines. Understand? It's not done by feet. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So now the question is like this, right? Maybe we can drink, this wine that was made by the goy. Why? Because they're doing it with the machines now. They're not doing it anymore with the feet. Maybe it's allowed. So the truth is, that I remember, because Kedem is the kosher one, right? But there's also Welch's, right? Welch's is a goyish grape juice, which is made in America, the biggest company in America for grape juice. So all of a sudden, right, this company got OU 25, 30 years ago. They got OU, All of a sudden, they're advertising, oh, it's kosher, kosher grape juice. So how is it kosher? What happened, right? So that's the answer. The answer is that the way they're making it, nobody's touching it. It's all automated. You understand? So that's why it's kosher. That's why it had OU. And then when I came back from Israel, many years later, I looked at the Welch's, now it has no OU, right? No more. Just regular, right? Regular. No OU. Why did they lose the hechsher? What happened, right? You know what the answer is. Because they didn't pay the OU. That's why. When you don't pay, you can't play, right? No hechsher. You have to pay them, It's a business. Hechsher is a business. It's not, what do you call it? Gamach, gemilut chasadim. It's business. They're making money. So you don't pay, you don't get. That's the way it is. That's why, a lot of restaurants over here in this area, owned by Bukharians and they don't get the Vada Rabbanim, for the queens. They don't get that. You know why? Because they charge them a lot. So it's very expensive. So they say, I don't want this. Leave me alone. I'll be kosher myself. I don't want Vada Rabbanim. Vada Rabbanim, they take a lot of money. It's business also. The same thing, right?
It's the organization. They need to pay salary.
Are you the lawyer?
No. This wasn't going to say. I don't want.
God bless you. God bless you. Anyway, it's a business. It's a private business. It's a privately owned business. This is not a.
But when you're going to take an haircut, you're paying the guy. You're paying a service.
Same thing. Everything is business. It's all business. You don't pay. You don't get the service.
It's a false stamp. So you're not going to pay. You're not going to get.
I think you're arguing for no reason. I don't know what you're arguing about exactly.
No,
that's the way it is. It's a business. Nobody can argue with that.
100%.
That's it. It's business. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you they're criminals. Don't get me wrong.
but
I'm not telling you they're mafia. That's not what I'm saying. It's a business.
The restaurant, they're okay, they're fine. The restaurant needs to pay. I'm saying the way you said that, the restaurant doesn't want to pay because it's too expensive. They should pay. You pay for a service that we're going to make everything kosher. We're going to send you much.
So see, okay, now I understand what he's trying to say. Now I'm beginning to understand what he's saying. So you know what the answer to your question is? The problem is, the problem is not because that they're charging. The problem is they're charging too much. The rates are too high. This is the problem. And this is why a lot of the restaurants don't want them. You understand? Because they charge way high.
But what is the scale? Who's going to decide? When you're buying a car, you're buying for a better car.
And, that's for the restaurant to decide, right? What's the scale?
You would eat in a place like that?
Huh? You're getting him into something else. I'm not talking about that right now. You understand? I'm talking about the fact that it's a business. You don't pay. You don't get extra. That's it. It's very simple. You have to pay the amount that they ask you. They're not going to bargain with you. You know what I mean? It's the Ashkenazim, they don't bargain. You know what I mean? Either you pay the amount, or they tell you shalom, kol tuv. That's it. You understand? They don't bargain. You got to pay their fee, whatever they're charging. A lot of people think it's too much. This is the problem, and that's why they don't want it. Go to now the butchers, right, on 108, right? Most of them are not Bada Rabbanim anymore. They're not. Why? Because that's the reason why. They don't want to pay. They don't want to pay the high price.
No problem. But
you know what I mean? They have extra, but Bada Rabbanim is expensive. You know what I mean? So same thing, OU is also expensive. You know what I mean?
So
they charge a lot of money. There's no reason to argue about this.
No,
you know
what I mean?
Jonathan, there's nothing to argue about. I'm just telling you, you are arguing. You're arguing. You're doing. We're wasting time here. Talking about things which are not important. So what do you call it? Let's move on. When we start arguing, we get tied up, and then we're doing Arvit at 8:00. We should be doing quarter take. You know what I mean? We don't have time for these arguments. We don't have time. Hashem bless you. So anyway, right? As we said, this is the thing. They don't want to pay. So you don't pay. You don't get it. But here's the thing, right? I myself, when I came back, called the Welch's company, on the phone. And I asked them, I said, tell me, can you do me a favor? You make the grape juice, that. I asked them, does anybody touch the juice once it comes out of the grapes? And they told me, no, nobody touches. It's all automatic. Everything is automatic. You know what I mean? So according to that, right, you can drink Welch's grape juice. It's kosher. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You know what I mean? Without Bada Rabbanim, without OU, it's kosher because they don't touch it. They said the only thing that they do is like this, right? They take the shovel, they pick up the grapes, and they throw it into the tub. That's it, right? But that's kosher. Why? Because it's still grapes. It's not juice yet. Should I wait for you? Oh, I'm sorry. So, as we said, right? Therefore, Welch's, should not be a problem at all. But here's the thing, right? When it comes to these wineries, that make the wines, each one, is like, Welch's is a big company. I mean, they're humongous, multi-million-dollar company, all America buys this juice. So therefore, you can rely on them. You ask them a question, they'll tell you the truth. They're not going to lie to you because they can get a lawsuit. You know what I mean? They're afraid of lawsuits. They don't lie about these things. So if they tell you something, but here's the thing, when it comes to these little wineries, right, that are producing wine all over the world, whether it's in France or Italy, you can't be sure for everyone. You know what I mean? That it's going to be not touched by people. It could be it is touched by people. So therefore, we still, keep this minhag that we don't buy wine which is from the goyim. We buy Jewish wine only, kosher wine. Because these small companies, who knows what they're doing over there? Nobody really knows what's going on. You know what I mean? It's hard to really find out. If you can really find out, 100%, right, that that's what it is, then it's okay. But we don't know for sure. So therefore, we buy only kosher wine. This is the thing. That's regarding the wine, right? Now, what about the liquor? Now, let me ask you a question, right? Are we allowed to drink liquor made by goyim? Like beer, whiskey, things we do, right? We drink it. But in the Shulchan Aruch, it says it's not allowed to drink this stuff. What does that mean? It says Shulchan Aruch, you can drink it, but you cannot drink it. Yes and no. What does that mean, yes and no? It means like this, right? If you buy, right, go to buy the liquor in the store, right? Liquor store or supermarket. Over there where you buy it, you cannot drink it there. You're not allowed to drink it there. You have to go take it home, and drink it at home. They don't allow to drink it, Shulchan Aruch, where you bought the liquor. Over there you cannot drink it. What's the difference? Good question, right? I'll tell you in a second. So that means, right, that in a bar, if you go to a bar, right, you cannot drink the liquor there. You cannot go drink in a bar. Why is that? Because that's where you bought it. So what you got to do is, take the drink home and drink it at home. What's the difference, right? Good question. So the answer is, the difference is that the reason why the rabbis made all these prohibitions, about liquor and wine is because of chatanut. What does it mean, chatanut? What does it mean? You may come to marry the goy, right? Because you drink together, you may come to marry his daughter. This is the reason why the Chazal made these decrees. Not to drink goyish wine, goyish liquor, right? All these things, goyish bread, all these things, right? But the rabbi said like this, we're only afraid if you drink it over there, right, where you bought it. Then the owner is gonna be hanging around with you, drinking together with the owner, right? And then you may come to marry his daughter. Lo aleinu, right? This is the thing. This is the reason why. But when you take it home, you're drinking it by yourself, so the goy is not in your house, so it's okay. This is the reason why they made it this way. Yeah, I'm sorry.
In a bar, they don't sell by the bottle. They sell by the shots.
Right.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter because you bought it there. You know what I mean? Right. But you bought it there, right?
They bought it somewhere else.
Right. They bought it, yes, but you bought it there. Also, the supermarket, he buys from a wholesaler. That's the way it is, right? But you cannot drink it over there in the supermarket where they sell it. So therefore you cannot. So therefore the rule with the liquor is like this. That yes, you can drink goyish liquor as long as it's kosher, right? Beer is kosher. Whiskey is kosher. Cognac is not kosher. Needs kashrut. Why? Because it's made from wine, right? Cognac. So you cannot drink just regular cognac. Asur. But whiskey and vodka, usually it's kosher, right? Unless it's made out of... Yeah. I'm sorry? I'm talking about the ingredients, The ingredients are kosher. You understand? So, usually it's okay. But, as we said, right? Don't drink it over there where you bought it. Drink it at home. So, a Jew is not allowed to go to a bar and drink over there, It's not allowed. It's also very bad, it looks bad, A Jew goes, gets drunk over there in front of everybody, It's a chil Hashem also, you know what I mean? It's not a very nice thing to do that, But the Ashkenazim, it says in the Ramah, we'll stop here, we'll do our read. It says in the Ramah, that the Ashkenazim were noheg by them, that if the alcohol is made from grains, right? Grains, or it's made from honey, so then they don't drink it, even in the place where they bought it. The Ashkenazim are lenient about this. So therefore, them, he could drink the beer, at the bar or at the supermarket. He can drink the beer there. I hope he doesn't get arrested, But there's no problem, because beer is made out of grains. Also vodka, right? Made out of grains, made out of wheat, whatever it is, right? That they make it from, Same thing with whiskey. I'm sorry.
Tequila kosher?
No, what about tequila?
We're trying to understand, is it kosher?
What is it made out of?
Made out of the green stuff.
The what? The what stuff?
Cactus.
Cactus is fine, no problem. But take it home, don't drink it over there at the bar. Right? Right? That's the difference. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Why the boy cannot open the bottle?
I'm sorry?
Why the boy cannot open the bottle?
So what's the problem, right? This is a good question. So the problem is like this, right? What's the problem when the goy makes the wine, right? He treads on it with his feet, right? He agitates it, moves it around. So same thing, when he opens the bottle, he moves it. This is already yain nesech. This is the problem, It's not always a problem, by the way, There are certain things which are a problem, certain things which are not a problem. I'll talk about it tomorrow, B'ez Hashem, B'li Neder. We'll continue, B'li Neder. We'll continue. We don't have time now. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן שאומר, אז הקדוש ברוך הוא לא זוכר את ישראל, לפיכך הכי בא להם תורה ומצוות שנאמר חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיר תורה וידיר.